Hey guys, Mrs. Cates here. Today, I want to read a book about a topic that we're talking a lot about in the news right now. So, you may know that in the next month or so, we are going to be voting for our very next president. So, we need to learn about how this process works. The story that I'm going to share with you today is called Woodrow for President, a tale of voting, campaigns, and elections. This book is by Peter W. Barnes and Cheryl Shaw Barnes. I wonder if they are related in any way. Might be something to find out more about our authors, huh? Woodrow for President. When Woodrow G. Washington was just a baby, his mother and father said, "Someday, just maybe, he'll grow up to be, with great celebration, the president of the entire mouse nation." His parents made sure that he grew tall and strong, that he valued hard work, that he knew right from wrong. Then he ate all his spinach and he ate all his peas, that he ate all his mouse, macaroni, and cheese. Look at those pictures of him as a little mouse. Wasn't he so cute? Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He worked hard in school, and all students note at 18 years old, he registered to vote. He graduated college the first in his class, mousa cum laude, and a medal of brass. Then Woodrow, All-American Mouse of renown, went back to Mousery, back to his hometown. To open a shop, marry Bess, his good wife. They started a family and a wonderful life. But here's where his story is just getting started. For Woodrow, they say, was extremely big hearted. He'd close up his store at the end of each day, go home where he and his children would play. Help Bess with the supper, then, like a good dad, help the kids finish all the homework they had. But this isn't where his big heartedness ends. He also helped other mice, neighbors, and friends. He helped at the hospital, he helped clean the park, he helped walk mouse ladies home safe after dark. He coached kids in soccer and Little League too. For mice with no jobs, he found jobs they could do. For you see, Woodrow knew he'd been blessed from the start, given such a good life that he felt in his heart that someone like him should give back with good grace to help make his town and the world a good place. One day, Woodrow's friend said, "Woodrow, we hear there's a seat on town council that is open this year. With your heart and your brains, we agreed you'd be great if you ran for the job as our mouse candidate." A candidate in our nation's tradition is someone who seeks an important position by entering a contest called an election, and citizens vote to make their selection. You vote for or against to express your own view of a candidate or issue important to you. In private, in secret, without fear or fright. In our democracy, it's our most basic right. But more on this later, for Woodrow, you see, was elected to council unanimously. He did such a good job with skill and with care. The next thing you know, they elected him mayor. They elected him later, it seems like a blur, to the state capitol as a state senator. He served the mice well, they just couldn't wait. They elected him governor of the whole state. When Governor Woodrow, now older and wise, finished his term, this should be no surprise. Bess and his friends said, "All the time you have spent helping others would make you a great president." Woodrow, so humbled, replied, "If you please, are you sure I could serve as the nation's big cheese?" "We are certain," they shouted, "so now don't delay." He declared himself candidate the very next day. I bet his family was so proud of him for helping so many people. So many elections, state, local, and more. So many good candidates, they run by the score. But running for president is different, we'll show, for it's such an important position, you know. First, every candidate must to explain, hire assistants, and form a campaign. But a presidential campaign often creates a big campaign for all 50 states. Look at all these people that are working with Woodrow to help him become the next president. A candidate needs volunteers by the dozens friends, neighbors, supporters, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Volunteers help for free with no compensation when their candidate they feel will be good for the nation. A campaign needs offices, computers, and flags, buttons and posters and banners and bags, volunteers and assistants. There's so much to do. If you like a candidate, you can volunteer too. A political party is part of campaigning, a phrase we agree that needs some explaining. We don't mean a party with candles or cake or presents for birthdays. Don't make that mistake. A political party and its politicians is one group of citizens with common positions. They all work together on ideas they share about how our nation should work and prepare. For instance, one party's ideas may include helping farmers to increase production of food. There might be a party that favors a rule that doubles the number of classes at school. There might be a party that might find it dandy if neighborhood stores would stop selling candy. Mm. So many positions and so many views, so many good parties or to study or choose. Political parties have existed, you see, from the start of America's long history. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, Reform, and Progressive are just a few that we've seen. Someday, when you're older, you might well decide to join a political party with pride. To which party does our friend Woodrow belong? The bull mouse, of course, so upright and strong. Not so fast, Mr. Woodrow, you're not alone. Other mice in your party have let it be known. Each says he or she could be president too. So what happens next? What's a party to do? In this case, when two mice or four mice or eight each believes he or she is the best candidate, a party needs some way to make a selection. One way is to hold a primary election. Party members decide for themselves in each state if they want to establish a primary date. If they do, they invite the contestants competing to visit their state for speaking and meeting. The state of Mouse Hampshire, a wonderful place, is home to the very first primary race. It's also where candidates meet to debate the serious issues that carry great weight. At one debate, Woodrow jumped in the first minute, though Senator Tremaus was sure he would win it. Another good governor, Graytail, spoke true. So did Senator Fieldmouse and Ed Mouskey, too. But Woodrow was better, debating with ease. He talked about jobs, the production of cheese, about helping poor church mice, and then very soon about sending astronaut mice to the moon. Woodrow won in Mouse Hampshire, the start of his quest, then won other primaries, north, south, east, and west, by working long hours and traveling for weeks for debates, shaking paws, kissing mouse baby cheeks. The victory showed clearly, reporters agreed, Governor Woodrow had taken the lead. To be for his party its great nominee for the land's highest office, the presidency. After the primaries, party members are sent in state delegations to one big event, a national convention, a meeting so glorious to formally nominate Woodrow victorious. The delegates travel by train and by car. They travel in airplanes and buses so far. Party delegates come with a duty, it's noted, representing all members and how they have voted. The convention begins. Every delegate waits for the famous, historic roll call of the states. The delegates whoop and they jump and they cheer with each state's decree, one by one that they hear. The great state of Missouri, its delegates shout, cast its votes for the mouse that, without any doubt, will be our next president. We know he can't fail. Its favorite son, Woodrow G. Washington. And on down the list, every state makes its choice until all the delegates can say with one voice, to mice everywhere, a great declaration. Woodrow has won the Bull Mouse nomination. Woodrow, Woodrow, they chant and they call to the top of the roof, to the top of the hall. He steps to the podium, the new nominee, to announce, my dear friends, I accept gratefully. The nominee now has a very big task. He must decide quickly which mouse he will ask to be his vice president, number 2 on the slate, the very best partner, the best running mate. Woodrow, his assistants, and party leaders agreed. One mouse from the primaries could surely succeed. As Woodrow's vice president, clearly all knew it. Senator Felicity Fieldmouse could do it. The convention went wild, and by acclamation, every mouse on the floor, every state delegation voted that choice. They knew how to pick it. Senator Fieldmouse was now on the ticket. A president is elected, we hope you remember, every 4 years in the month of November. It's almost our time. In general elections with primaries completed, campaigning begins once again. It's repeated. So off for more picnics the candidates go, more speeches and meetings in rain, sleet, and snow. On the campaign trail, it's no time to shirk, for being a candidate is very hard work. That's because Woodrow, despite his great fame, was not the only big mouse in the game. The Country Mouse Party had held its convention, and its nominee was now in contention. Senator Rufus C. Tuftmouse, retired, was widely respected and widely admired. One of his bills, it passed Congress with ease, created the U.S. Department of Cheese. Tuftmouse and his campaign hit the trail, battling Woodrow toe to toe, tail to tail. To help voters choose the best candidate, they agreed to a nationwide TV debate. The voters tuned in to listen and learn, each mouse debating the issues in turn, discussing their plans and their hopes and their fears. The viewers, reporters, the rest were all ears. When it was over, the cheers and applause filled the room as the candidates met and shook paws. America's voters, Woodrow thought, hold my fate, so all I can do is sit back and wait. I bet that's hard to be patient during that time. Ooh. Election day came, and most mice, with delight, exercised their basic constitutional right to go to the polls to each cast one vote. Our democracy working, historians note. Voters cast votes different ways we have seen. Some mark paper ballots, some vote by machine. Whatever the method, every vote counts when election officials add up the amounts. After they voted back home in Missouri, Woodrow and Bess, with the kids in a hurry, rushed to a downtown hotel to await as voting results were announced for each state. The polls closed, hours passed, and then suddenly Senator Tuftmouse appeared on TV. The voters have spoken, Tuftmouse conceded. The vote total showed that he had been defeated. Woodrow has won, Rufus said out of respect. Let's all now support him, our president-elect. In a ballroom downstairs, Woodrow walked into cheers from friends and supporters and great volunteers. Dear friends, I am honored, Woodrow began. You've elected me president of this great land. A difficult job, I'll be put to the test, but I promise to work hard and give you my best. On January 20th, inauguration day. Oh, Miss Case is having a hard time with that word. Woodrow stood before all to swear and to say he'd uphold and protect our great Constitution and each citizen's rights with firm resolution. Once sworn in, he began his inaugural address, a speech to the nation, a way to express his plans and his dreams for all mice to share. And then he declared to mice everywhere, ask not what your nation can do for you, he said. Ask what you can do for your nation instead, and for your communities and neighbors so close, for your friends and your families. That's what matters most. Vote, get involved, volunteer. That's what's right. Be a good citizen, be your own point of light. The crowd cheered hooray for this wonderful mouse as he walked down the street to the famous White House, where Woodrow and Bess and their girls and the boys arrived with their suitcases, boxes, and toys to begin Woodrow's term, his administration, the hope of all mice, the hope of a nation. That night, Bess and Woodrow danced down the great hall, honored host of the splendid inaugural ball. With friends and supporters, they hob and they nob the night before Woodrow begins his new job. After the ball, the new president said, enough celebration, it's now time for bed. For tomorrow I have, when I wake from my sleep, many dreams to fulfill, many promises to keep. Do you think he'll be an awesome president? It sounds like he will be, doesn't it? Wow. At the end of this book, it has some information about how you one day could possibly become the president of our great nation, and the process for going through a campaign, how old you have to be to even be considered to be a president, and just some other information. So if Woodrow for President is a book that you would like to check out of the library, you might want to read those back pages too, because Mrs. Cates, that's a lot of reading, and that would make a really super long video. So I'm so glad that I got to read to you today. I don't always get to read fun books like this to you guys, but I love reading to kids. I hope you enjoyed getting read to today. Bye, guys.